Hello everyone, I am Sammy, your devoted manga otaku, and welcome to my manga space. So today I'm doing something for the very first time on this channel. I'm going to be filming a reading vlog where I'll be reading manga that my best friend, JordalineReads, has picked for me. For those of you who don't know Jordaline, she's a phenomenal booktuber, and everything that she does is peak entertainment. Her smile lights up a room, her laughter is contagious, and she's literally one of the most beautiful human beings that I know. Plus, she's incredibly genuine, and her content is always super engaging and interesting. Her channel has honestly been an inspiration to me and my channel. I aspire to be as confident and impactful as she is, and I urge you to check out her booktube if you haven't yet. I'm almost positive that you'll fall in love with her and her content. Now, Jordaline has filmed a video for me with all of her picks, and I'm gonna watch it right here on camera. I also filmed a video for her where I picked some books for her to read. I'm not sure when her video is coming out, so you need to make sure that you're subscribed to her channel so that you're notified when she releases it. Jordaline and I have been best friends in real life for almost 18 years. She's the cheese to my macaroni, and she knows me super duper well, so I'm very excited to see what she's chosen to add to my TBR. So I invite you to grab a coffee or other beverage of your choice, and let's start a reading vlog. If I had to guess one series that Jordaline might recommend me, it'd be My Dress Up Darling by Shinichi Fukuda, because I know that she really loves that manga series and I actually haven't read it yet. I'm pretty sure she actually gifted me the first volume last year. Other than that series, the only other thing I could think that she might recommend me is anything by Shuzo Oshimi, because that's her favorite mangaka, but I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so I'm just going to stop talking and we're gonna see what she's picked. I'm a little nervous, but I'm mostly excited. So let's just get into it. Let's just do this.
Hi. So you asked me to choose your TBR for July, and I've come through. By the way, it's nice to see you. How are you? I miss you so much, all the time, every single day. No reprieve at all. Anyway, for your TBR, I've chosen some manga. So to cut the shit, let's just talk about what I want you to read, okay? Number 1, My Dress Up Darling, volume 1 to 5.
Called it. Volumes 1 to 5. I have volumes 1 through 4 hauled. I'm pretty sure volume 5 is upstairs somewhere in my boxed manga mountain, but I'm sure we can find it. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited. I saw some clips of the anime that released recently. It got me really hyped for this series, so I'm super duper pumped that I get to read this, like, soon.
Are there 5 volumes? I don't remember. I read this, I think, early in the year. It was so fucking good, though. First of all, number 1, boobs. I'm in. We're in. You know, we live, we laugh, we love. And then it's also just like really, really cute. And also the cosplaying aspects are super interesting, and I love it. I love it. It's so freaking cute. You need to read it. The rest of them I have not read, but I want you to read them because I want you to be like my litmus test to see if like I actually should read them or not. So next I want you to read If I Could Reach You, volume 1. Just volume 1. I just want to know what you think. It's like lesbians, but I think the main like conflict is that our protagonist is in love with her brother's wife. So it's like drama.
The reason that I actually started collecting If I Could Reach You is because Jordaline told me the premise. I feel like it's going to be kind of messy, which I love. I actually just purchased the finale, volume 7, when I was on vacation. That is going to be a lot of fun. I assume it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I also want you to read Kaiju Girl, volume 1. Just volume 1. Because again, I want to know if it's good. I did buy it for you for your birthday. Was it your birthday? I think it was your birthday. And I want to know if I should read it soon or not. So I lied earlier. So I have read this one, which is Paradise Kiss in the omnibus. I read them when I was like a teenager. I used to have like the Tokyo Pop editions, but I sold them because I'm literally a fucking chump, but like whatever. So this is like this girl who gets involved in this sort of little community of freaky deaky people who like to design clothes and fashion, and she becomes like part of their group. It's very cute. I haven't read it in a long time, but I remember really liking it when I did read it. And then I want you to read this simply because it has a cat in it, and that is A Man and His Cat, volumes 1 to 4. Although I feel also that volume 5 just came out. I want you to read this, of course, because it's about this dude who just like loves his cat. And like, if that doesn't just like make you happy, I don't know what will. And if you like really like it, then I'll probably read it as well. And then because I'm literally evil, I want you to read Dragon Ball Z Volume 1.
What? Out of all the manga, out of all the manga, out of all of the manga, this wasn't even on the radar. This wasn't even something that I was thinking could be a possibility. Okay, all right. I didn't realize that I was going to be starting my Dragon Ball journey in 2022, but here we are, and I'm living for it actually. This is so unexpected. It's a little intimidating, but it'll be fine. It'll be good. It'll be great. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
In the omnibus that you guys have, I know that your husband reads them. I don't know. Do you say his name on the thing? I don't know. Anyway, I know that your husband reads them, but I do remember you talking while you were visiting about how you wanted to read them, but you were like intimidated or something. I don't remember. So my little evil heart, my little bird brain, I was like, Sam should read it. I'm going to make her read it. So you're going to read it. Volume 1, just volume 1. That's it. And last but not least, I want you to read North by Northwest. They're very pretty books, and I just want you to read volume 1. I really like the covers. And the art is really pretty. I haven't read them, so I don't know if they're actually like good. So I want you to read it. This is all literally just so I can know something is good. But I also really want you to read Dress Up Darling and Paradise Kiss, which I have read. So anyway, I hope you enjoy these books. If you don't, you didn't hear it from me. Love you. Goodbye.
Okay. I'm just gonna take a minute and process that. You know what I need? I need a visual. I need to see all these books together. So let's just start collecting them here. So we got Paradise Kiss. This is a chunky monkey. I think there's 4 volumes in total. There's 4 or 5 volumes in this. And then we've got, what else did she say? We've got volumes 1 through 5 of My Dress Up Darling. We had volume 1 of If I Could Reach You. And then we also have volume 1 of Kaiju Girl Carmelise. Now I do have the first 5 volumes, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to them all, but who knows? I could become addicted and I could just binge them. I've been known to do that from time to time. And then we have volumes, I think Jordaline said 1 through 4 of A Man and His Cat. Now I have volumes 1 through 3 hauled right now, and I think I have the 4th volume in a Right Stuff order, so I can't really open that box until I do the whole haul video. However, we do have the first 3, so I will read those. I feel like I'm still missing some. Oh, right. We have volume 1 of Go With the Clouds, North by Northwest. And like Jordaline said, this manga is like stunning. It is so pretty. I am trying to read this TBR before the end of the month, and it's currently the 18th of July. Is that everything? No, it's not. There's one more. The piece de la resistance, is that how you say it? We have volume 1 of Dragon Ball. This is the omnibus edition, so we actually have volumes 1, 2, and 3. So we have a visual of my TBR. This is what I'm going to be reading for the next probably week. I'm curious, as they're falling over, how many books we have, or how many volumes we have. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and then My Dress Up Darling Volume 5 is number 18. So we have 18 books here. That's a lot, but this is going to be good for me. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm in a little bit of a reading slump. I wouldn't really call it a slump. It's just I've been having a really hard time finding the time to read. So I feel like having this TBR is really going to push me to make time to read. And I think that's what I really need right now. I'm gonna have to put this stack on my bedside table so that I can start getting through it. I'm very excited for this actually, because there are a lot of series in here that I wouldn't have necessarily picked up right away, but at the same time I've owned them for a long time. Like, these are all series that I bought last year around the time that I started my channel. I keep buying more manga and I'm not reading at the same rate that I'm buying, and that's not good. In fact, it's a little scary. So I really need to start reading some of these books and letting you guys know what I think of them. Thank you so freaking much, Jordaline. I love all of your picks. I'm super duper excited to read these and let you know if they're good or not. Yeah, thank you so much for making a video and sending me your recommendations. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm just really excited to get into this vlog. So let's do it. It's currently like 1 in the morning, so I'm probably just gonna go to bed, but I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, so bye! And welcome to the first update of my reading vlog video. I'm sure you can tell, but I don't have any makeup on. In most of these videos I will be makeupless because it takes an hour, sometimes 2 hours to create my face, and I just can't be bothered for these quick updates. So we're gonna go all natural here. It's currently the 21st of July, and I had every intention of updating you guys sooner, but what happened was I forgot that I had a whole bunch of dental work scheduled on the 19th, and I just did not feel like filming at all. And then yesterday, my son woke up ill, so I spent most of the day taking care of him. He's fine now. I don't know if it was just something he ate or if he was sick because of the heat, but I'm thankful that he's feeling better. So today I thought I'd just dip my toes into my TBR and read one of the volumes of manga recommended to me by Jordaline. And I thought I'd start off this vlog with volume 1 of Kaiju Girl Caramelise by Spica Aoki. The reason I chose to read this book first is because out of all the manga on my TBR, I think this is the one I know the least about. Kaiju Girl Caramelise is about a high school girl named Kuroe, and she has this incurable illness where she turns into a kaiju when experiencing intense emotions. Besides the basic premise, I'm not really sure what the actual story is about. I don't know if it's a drama or a rom-com, or maybe it'll fit more into the action genre because of the monster aspects. All I know is that this sounds very different from anything I've ever read before, but it also kind of gives off magical girl vibes, which I love. The art is absolutely stunning. I love how fluffy and sparkly everything looks. It looks so adorable. And I love how the mangaka included hearts in the eyes. Also, those pancakes look absolutely divine. I think they're called souffle pancakes, and they just look so soft and so pillowy. I just want to lay my head on them and eat them simultaneously. But yeah, that is my plan. I think I'm going to go get a coffee or a London Fog, and then I'm going to read this. As for the rest of my night, I still have to finish Jordaline's birthday present. It was actually her birthday on the 20th, so everyone in the comments, make sure to wish Jordaline a very happy belated birthday. Anywho, I think I'm going to end this update here, and we're gonna go for a little drive. It is currently the 22nd, and I'm here to update you guys with what I've read so far. Now, I've currently read 2 books on my TBR. I read volume 1 of Kaiju Girl Caramelise, and then I had a little extra time, so I decided to pick up volume 1 of If I Could Reach You by TMNR. First, we're going to talk about Kaiju Girl Caramelise, and being the first installment, this is basically just introducing the characters and the concept of the story. You learn that our main character, Kuroe, has always struggled with her body parts turning reptilian when she's feeling anxious. But she's been able to keep it under control fairly well by isolating herself from others. However, after the most popular boy in school starts taking an interest in her. A romance begins to blossom, and Kuroe finds herself unable to contain her inner kaiju. There aren't really any hints as to what the main story is going to be about. Is our main protagonist interested in finding a cure for her illness? Are there any other people in the world like her? At this point, I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I'm intrigued and I want to keep exploring this very interesting concept. I really liked the main character. She's socially awkward and quiet. I thought that she'd have a meek demeanor, but she's actually quite spunky, which is fun. I thought Kuroe's issues with self-loathing and inadequacy were relatable. She feels ugly and unlovable, and she's constantly under pressure to be normal. Plus, she's consistently repressing her emotions, which is really unhealthy psychologically. I truly feel for her. Now, as much as I liked our main female lead, I think my favorite character so far is Minatsu, the girl with a kaiju fetish. If you've read this manga, the part with the sleeping bag, I was laughing so hard at that scene. She's just so funny, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in future volumes. Additionally, we are introduced to Kuroe's mom, who seems very affectionate and supportive. However, I found her nonchalant attitude towards her daughter's powers a little strange, but it could be that she's just very accepting. Now, I wasn't blown away by the romance. It seems very tropey and basic so far, but I think there's a lot of potential. Also, I'm intrigued by the male love interest. He seems a little too good to be true, and I feel like there's more to him. Also, I was surprised to see the inclusion of a side character with a possible eating disorder. Honestly, it sounds like this manga will have more depth than I previously thought. As for the visuals, I thought that they were beautiful, and I love how the art style switches between these adorable shoujo moments and these epic kaiju scenes. Overall, I enjoyed the first volume, and I'm thankful that I have up to volume 5 so that when this reading vlog is finished, I can continue the series. And then on a whim, I decided to read volume 1 of If I Could Reach You, and I felt like it was a solid start to a story revolving around unrequited love. It follows a high school girl named Yuta who realizes she's in love with her sister-in-law Kaoru. What's even more heartbreaking, Yuta is forced to move in with the newlyweds after her parents' divorce. And Kaoru, who's oblivious to Yuta's feelings, is focused on being warm and loving towards Yuta, which is actually agonizing for her. It's a terrible situation for our main character, and I can't help but feel really bad for her. She's aware that a relationship with her sister-in-law is out of the question. So she's trying to rid herself of these feelings, and she's trying to move on and live a normal life. But her sister-in-law's seemingly loving marriage has some small issues, and whenever Kaoru feels lonely or neglected by her husband, she seeks out Yuta to alleviate her boredom and loneliness, putting Yuta's feelings back to the surface. Although tragic and painfully relatable, I really enjoyed this manga, and I'm eager, albeit nervous, to see how things are going to play out. I did like the main characters. I thought Yuta was a sweet and considerate girl who tries to give Kaoru and her husband space to be a married couple, even though it hurts. Kaoru is loud and a little ditzy, but she's incredibly caring and kind. I feel like we still don't know very much about these characters, but I'm eager to learn more about them, as well as why Yuta has feelings for Kaoru. Additionally, I really liked that you can see the chemistry between Yuta and Kaoru. you can see that if circumstances were different, a relationship between them wouldn't be that far-fetched. One last thing I want to quickly mention before wrapping up this update is that I'm a little suspicious of Reichi, Yuta's older brother and Kaoru's husband. I just have this feeling that something is definitely off about him. But in conclusion, I'm a sucker for forbidden romances, and this manga is no exception. The art is lovely, and although dramatic, I feel like it's fairly realistic and down to earth. I'm super thrilled that this series is completed, and I'll get to revisit it soon. Now, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be reading next, but I think I'm going to tackle either one of the omnibuses or A Man and His Cat. I've decided that I'm going to save my Dress Up Darling for last because it's the series I'm most excited to read. I'm not sure if I'm going to be updating you guys tomorrow or the day after, just because I'm taking my kidlets to my grandparents' farm tomorrow. It's usually an all-day ordeal, but we'll see what happens. So I guess I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye! Hello everyone, it's currently Monday, the 25th, and how was everyone's weekend? Mine was pretty fun. My kids and I got to play with tadpoles and frogs all weekend. We attempted to keep some of them as pets in an aquarium just until the tadpoles turned into frogs, and then we would set them all free. I thought it'd be like a fun little project, kind of like those caterpillar kits where you watch the caterpillars turn into butterflies. But I learned that it's really hard to feed baby frogs. It took me 3 hours to feed like 4 of them. Long story short, we set them all free, and I think we all learned a valuable lesson. So today I'm going to be updating you guys with my thoughts on volumes 1 through 3 of A Man and His Cat by Yumi Sakurai. In the end, I decided to go with this series because I've been pretty busy and these books are quite small. Let me start off by saying that my heart literally melted while I was reading this manga series. I was actually taken aback by how much I adored the story and the characters. I couldn't help but take pictures of some of the panels and send them to my sister because it was just too cute not to share with someone. A Man and His Cat is an ongoing series with a fairly straightforward premise. It follows a lonely middle-aged widower named Kanda who's looking for companionship. He ends up adopting a cat who's struggled to find his forever home because he's older and ugly, and Kanda names him Fukumaru. What follows is a pure and wholesome story revolving around the relationship between a pet and his owner, while also exploring topics such as grief, trauma, and friendship. The range of emotions covered in these books is remarkable. This series made me laugh, it made me cry, and it even made me happy cry. The feels sneak up on you too. I'd be completely fine one moment and then fighting back tears after only a couple pages. This series is also spot on when it comes to Fukumaru's behavior. His comedic hijinks and kitty antics are accurate and adorable. If you've owned a cat, I feel like you'll be able to relate to this. In the first couple volumes, you get to see the perspectives and backstories of both Kanda and Fukumaru. You watch as the pair gets to know one another and become smitten with each other, and then by the end of the third volume, you're introduced to more of Kanda's tragic backstory, including his history with the piano and why he stopped performing publicly. In the afterword, Sakurai-sensei reveals that they changed platforms, meaning that the format of the manga has changed, and therefore being able to focus on fleshing out the characters more. I think that this decision really elevates the plot. As much as I love to see the mundane slice of life moments between a man and his cat, I'm glad that the mangaka is adding more depth to the characters, including Fukumaru. Besides our main duo, I'm also fond of the side characters in this series. You have the best friend, who's a dog lover, the young musician who looks up to Kanda, and the self-proclaimed rival who was just recently introduced. Additionally, from the cliffhanger, I deduce that more cats will be making their way into the series, which I'm thrilled about. Lastly, I just want to mention something that kind of sounds crazy, but I could totally see this series becoming a little gay. I don't think that's where the manga is headed. If the relationships were to stay strictly platonic, that'd be completely fine, but I'd be overjoyed if some romance was introduced into this series. Also, just a side note, Kanda is super fine. He's like a sexy older gentleman, and I just love how dapper he is. Just really attractive. After finishing these books, I promptly ordered volumes 5 through 6. Buying those volumes though did make me realize that this series is on the more expensive side. The volumes were $17.50 Canadian each, and they're pretty small. However, they are really nice quality. The volumes have these adorable colored pages at the beginning, and then they also have them at the end. I feel like the paper is also very nice quality. Look how cute that is. And then I also love the different prints on the back sides of the cover. They're just super cute, and I like to look at all of them because they're different in each one of the volumes. So, final thoughts. This is a very tender and enjoyable story, and it's the first 5-star rated series in this reading vlog. I love the art style, the interactions between the characters, and I love the messaging. I recommend this series to anyone who loves cats or has ever had a pet that they considered as family. Jordaline, you 100% need to read this. I think that you would absolutely adore it. As for the next thing that I'm going to start reading, I think I'm going to start reading Paradise Kiss. Both my daughter and my son have summer extracurriculars, so I'm hoping to have a little extra time to read and film during the day. So I'm just going to leave you guys here, and I'll see you in the next update. update, and it's currently the 27th of July. Just before I get into what I've read these last couple days, I'm starting to realize that maybe I didn't understand the assignment. I was editing some footage last night, and I'm realizing more and more that this is just a wrap-up video with extra footage thrown in. I don't really update you guys while I'm reading the manga, and my reasoning for that is just that I have a really hard time saying how I feel on the spot. I like to digest what I've read and write out my thoughts. Also, my house is always very noisy, so spur of the moment filming is hard for me. But with all that said, I hope this video is still enjoyable. I admit that the vloggy bits were a lot of fun to film, so even though this video isn't in a standard reading vlog format, I hope it's still entertaining. Okie dokie. Let's get into this update. I was able to read another 2 books on my TBR. First, I read the omnibus edition of Paradise Kiss by Aizawa, and I was impressed with how fast I read this because this is a 5-volume omnibus, but I read it in like a day. I was captivated by this book, and although it isn't quite a 5-star read, I found this incredibly enjoyable. The series follows an 18-year-old girl named Yukari. She's in her final year of high school with her college exams quickly approaching. She's a hard-working student who acts confident and capable, but she's actually quite anxious and stressed because she's unsure if she can meet her mother's expectations. One day, Yukari is approached by George, a member of the amateur fashion label Paradise, with an invitation to be their model in an upcoming competition. Initially, Yukari is weirded out by the group of fashion students behind the label. However, she's soon caught up in their passion and realizes that she identifies with this strange world more than her boring academic life. What follows is a poignant and relatable coming-of-age story filled with beautiful friendships, dramatic relationships, and harsh realities. First, I want to touch on the things I loved about this manga, and then I want to address some things that I found problematic. To start off, I want to mention the art in this series, which is just breathtaking. Yazawa Sensei's art style is crisp, unique, and the couture aesthetic works well with her stylish character designs. I love all the details, especially when it comes to the fashion. It's very beautiful. Also, I think it's worth mentioning, this series does include both nudity and sex scenes, but I thought both were drawn tastefully. I thought the pacing was well done, which is pretty tricky for a manga series this size. I didn't feel like it was ever rushed. There were a couple things that I wouldn't have minded if they were more fleshed out, but I'm overall satisfied. Also, I really liked watching the characters break the fourth wall. I found it really amusing and fun. As for the storytelling, I found that it had some really inspirational and empowering messages about destiny, pursuing the arts, and forging your own path. Watching Yukari mature and rebuild herself was moving, and not only do we get to witness her journey of self-discovery, but we also get to watch her achieve the happiness she clearly deserves. Now, my feelings become a bit convoluted when it comes to the characters and the relationships in Paradise Kiss. As a whole, the characters are all compelling and multi-dimensional individuals. They are ambitious dreamers, but aren't without their faults and flaws. I found most of the platonic friendships to be really beautiful in this series. I loved Miwako and Yukari's friendship. It was uncomplicated, caring, and supportive. Additionally, I thought Isabella and George had a very loving friendship. It made me happy to see George being an encouraging ally to Isabella when she was worried about coming out as trans. On that note, I thought Isabella was pretty good trans representation for a manga that's over 20 years old. In fact, I'd say this series is overall progressive for its time, as George is also bisexual. However, I feel compelled to mention that there are some, not a lot, but there are some transphobic and homophobic jokes, and one character also dead names Isabella at one point, which is just ick. Now, I want to talk about George for a minute because he's a fascinating character to me, as I both loved and loathed his character. He's handsome, charismatic, talented, eccentric, and a phenomenal designer, but he's manipulative and, for lack of a better word, an asshole. His and Yukari's relationship was downright toxic and emotionally abusive, but at the same time, it was very passionate and sweet, and you could see that both George and Yukari have genuine feelings for each other. I thought their relationship was an accurate portrayal of young love and infatuation, which is why I think so many young people became attached to their romance. It was relatable, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't root for them despite the toxicity. Ultimately, their relationship was critical in helping shape who they became as people, even if it was dysfunctional in the moment. Now, there was a side relationship in this manga that was deeply disturbing, as it romanticized abuse and rape. I'm disappointed because I felt like Izawa-sensei handled this situation horribly and glossed over the abuse callously. The innocent partner in the relationship deserved so much more, and it's a big reason why I couldn't give this manga 5 stars. In conclusion, I'm happy that I got to read this cult classic, and I'm really happy that it's part of my collection. If you like mature coming-of-age stories that dive into the complexity of life and love, or if you're a lover of fashion, I think that you would thoroughly enjoy this series. The last thing that we need to talk about in this update is Volume 1 of Go With the Clouds, North by Northwest by a.k.a. This is an ongoing seinen series that combines mystery with magical realism. The story follows a 17-year-old boy named Kei, who has a very mysterious and intriguing ability. He's able to communicate with machinery. Taking odd jobs as a private detective, Kei uses his ability to help facilitate his investigations and solve mysteries in the cold but beautiful country of Iceland. However, Kei's world is turned upside down when his estranged younger brother goes missing, and Kei will have to put his detective skills to the test in order to solve this puzzle. Now, I'm not going to talk about the storyline too much in this series because this is a mystery, and I feel like this genre is most fun when you're going in blind. What I will say though is that this is a 5-star read for me, which was totally unexpected. I went into this series with very few expectations. I knew it was going to be stunning visually, but I remember reading some reviews on Goodreads that made me question whether I would like this, which is something I'm going to talk about more at the end of this review. Now, I can't really pinpoint the exact reason why I loved this so much. It was honestly just a combination of everything being exceedingly well done. I thought the mystery was really intriguing. The hook at the end was dramatic and enticing. I thought the pacing was a little different, but interesting. And the dialogue was well written too. The art is spectacular and atmospheric. The landscape shots are gorgeous. They almost have a whimsical feel to them, and the character designs are very beautiful. I love how Airi sensei draws eyes, especially female eyes. They remind me of Jun Miyuzaki's art style and how he drew Akira's eyes in After the Rain. I really really loved Kei's character. He's very attractive, he's charismatic, and he's super smart. He also has two sides to him. He can be very serious, especially when investigating mysteries, but he's also adorable at times, like when he's talking to his car. I say talking with quotations because the machinery Kei talks with doesn't actually talk back, and yet Kei learns things that are impossible to know. For example, he knows his car's favorite roads and that its wheels were last washed 6 months ago. I think the mangaka made a really smart decision by keeping these conversations one-sided, as I feel like talking machinery could have easily come off as childish or silly, which is not the vibe of this story. Okay, now I want to briefly talk about the negative reviews of this volume on Goodreads. There are quite a few one-star reviews on the platform, with the reviewers taking issue with the nudity. I don't think the nudity in this series is offensive, and I disagree that it promotes abusive behavior. Because of those reviews, I thought this manga was going to be a perverted mess with gratuitous fan service and nudity, but for me, personally, I didn't feel that way. Obviously, everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and I don't want to invalidate people's feelings. I just want to remind people that it's important to take reviews with a grain of salt. Until you've read the book, it's hard to know how you feel about it. I plan on reading the rest of the volume soon, mostly because I'm itching to find out what happens next. So if you're still on the fence about investing in this series, I will be sharing my thoughts soon, and I hope they'll help you decide if this is the manga for you. In conclusion, I thought this book was a promising start to a new series. I feel like this manga deserves way more attention. So if you enjoy manga that revolve around mystery and adventure, I highly recommend that you check this out. And that is it for this update. I only have 2 series left on my TBR. We have volume 1 of the Dragon Ball 3-in-1 editions, and then we have volumes 1 through 5 of my Dress Up Darling. I haven't decided if I'm going to do separate updates for these manga or if I'm just going to film everything combined. I guess you're gonna find out soon what I decided to do. Anywho, I'm going to see you guys soon, and I hope that you're having a manga-nificent day. my 5th and final update for this reading vlog, and it's actually the 31st of July. So it's been a few days since my last update. I wanted to film this update a little closer to the last one, but I was busy with family life, and if I'm being honest, I was a little unmotivated. Nevertheless, I got here in the end, and that's what's important. But before getting into it, I would like to take a moment and say thank you for 2,000 subscribers. This sort of took me by surprise because I've been so busy with my kiddos and the reading vlog, but my husband was secretly keeping an eye on my channel, and he surprised me with a screenshot the moment I hit 2K. Hitting this milestone is kind of surreal. It's a huge amount of people and I'm finding it hard to comprehend, but I'm deeply humbled and incredibly grateful for this community's support. This channel, creating and editing videos, sharing my thoughts, and talking with everyone has been a very joyful and wonderful experience. So I'd like to thank each and every one of my subscribers, old and new. This wouldn't be possible without you guys. Now, I'm going to talk about the last couple books that were on my TBR, and then I'm going to give some of my final thoughts on everything I read. First things first, we need to talk about Volume 1 of Dragon Ball, the 3-in-1 edition by Akira Toriyama. Dragon Ball is a shonen manga series about a monkey-tailed boy named Goku who lives alone in the wilderness until meeting a teenage girl named Bulma. Bulma is looking for small artifacts called Dragon Balls. Legend has it, if you gather all 7 Dragon Balls, you can summon Shenron, a mythical dragon who will grant you one wish. Goku happens to possess one of these relics, but he received it as an heirloom from his grandfather, so he refuses to part with it. With Bulma's wish for a perfect boyfriend hinging on Goku's cooperation, she makes him a deal. Goku can accompany her on her journey if he lends her the power of his Dragon Ball when the time comes. Together, Goku and Bulma set out on a quest that sparks a lifelong adventure for Goku and his friends. The last bit of Dragon Ball media that I consumed before this was the Dragon Ball Super anime. So going back to Goku's humble beginnings and seeing how far he's come was really neat. I loved revisiting the Dragon Ball universe. The world building and the lore is really interesting, and I always loved seeing all the dinosaurs everywhere. Also, I found this book quite nostalgic. I used to watch the Dragon Ball anime when I was in middle school, and it brought me back. However, I admit that this was a bit of a chore to read. Some things have not aged well. Nevertheless, there were a couple things that surprised me while I was reading this. For one, the illustrations are really well drawn. I don't know why, but I thought the art would be messier. Maybe it's because when I think of older manga, my mind goes immediately to Sailor Moon, which is very wispy, but this has really clean lines and the characters' proportions look great. Another thing that surprised me was Goku's age. I thought he was like 7 because he has the mind, body, and innocence of a child, but he's actually like 14 years old. And lastly, I thought there'd be more action, but I don't think we really get a solid hint that the Dragon Ball franchise is a battle shonen until the 3rd volume. Speaking of volume 3, we get to meet Krillin in this volume. Krillin is a young boy who ends up training with Goku under Master Roshi. I really like Krillin. He's probably one of the nicest and most likable characters in the franchise. Plus, he's a really great friend, and later in the series you see that he's also a wonderful husband and father. Now, when it comes to the humor in this series, I sort of knew what I was getting into. It's very crude and juvenile. There are a lot of boob jokes, panty fetish jokes, and toilet humor, but there were some jokes that genuinely made me chuckle too, which was good. Now, I also knew that Dragon Ball over-sexualizes its female characters. I was expecting sexist and misogynistic jokes. plus Master Roshi's depravity, but after a character drugged another character and then attempts to molest them, I had to put the book down for a while. It made me very uncomfortable. I know the sexual harassment gets toned down throughout the series, so I'm not throwing in the towel or anything, but wow, this was way more perverted than I remember. And it's weird because I've read quite a few manga series with sexual assault in them and I'm not triggered by it. But this rubbed me the wrong way at times, and I'm thinking maybe it's because this is a comedy and the assault is played for cheap laughs. It definitely isn't handled in a serious or meaningful way. I'm probably going to rate this volume 2.5 stars. I know the series as a whole will probably get a higher star rating, but you can tell that Toriyama sensei is still feeling out the story and the characters, and in my opinion, it doesn't start getting really good until later in the series. Regardless of the flaws though, you do have to recognize that without Dragon Ball, action and adventure shonen would not be what it is today. Dragon Ball revolutionized shonen anime and manga, and many popular shonen titles were all, to some extent, inspired by the franchise's narrative formulas and tropes. This first installment was a good enough start to what becomes an incredible series. I recommend you read this if you're interested in seeing the introductions of these iconic characters and can handle the problematic humor. The last series I read in this vlog was volumes 1 through 5 of the ongoing series My Dress-Up Darling by Shinichi Fukuda. Jordaline has always talked very highly of this manga, and since the anime came out, I've heard nothing but good things about both the manga and the anime from the community. My expectations for this were really high, and I just have to say, this is definitely the cutest and most wholesome ecchi manga series I've ever read. My Dress-Up Darling is a seinen rom-com following a quiet and introverted high schooler named Gojo. Gojo doesn't really have any friends. He chooses to spend most of his free time practicing doll artistry in the hopes of taking over his grandfather's Hina doll shop. One day, Marin, Gojo's popular and outgoing classmate, finds Gojo sewing doll clothes in the home ec room at school. Amazed by his talent and skill, Marin asks Gojo if he'd be willing to help her make a cosplay outfit of a beloved character from her favorite eroge dating sim. Surprised by her pride and unapologetic attitude towards her interests, plus her encouragement for others to be the same way towards their hobbies, Gojo accepts her request, jump-starting this couple's very supportive and heartwarming relationship. I adored this manga for multiple reasons. At first, I thought the premise was really cute, but I realized there are some really beautiful messages in here about enjoying what you love regardless of what others think. I also love the message about being supportive of other people's interests and hobbies, even if you don't understand them. Sometimes letting people talk about what they love and even making an effort to take part in their interests can be really enjoyable and fun. I'm in love with both of the lead characters. Their dynamic is amusing, and watching them interact with each other is both hilarious and wholesome. I really like Gojo's character. He's humble, kind, and hardworking. I adored watching him throw himself into his passion, and I love seeing him take his craft seriously. He works hard to make sure his clothes are well made and designed. And then you have Marin, who is absolutely delightful. I loved her aggressively positive and enthusiastic personality. Also, I adore that she's a hardcore otaku who has favorite characters from all sorts of mediums, including anime, video games, and manga. Watching her fangirl is extremely relatable, and her reactions to anything she deems romantic is adorable. Now, I get the impression that Marin likes teasing Gojo, but she's still respectful of his feelings. For example, there's a moment in the series, I can't remember which volume, but there's this part where Gojo admits to Marin that one of her recent cosplays is something he cannot be a part of because the outfit is very revealing. Gojo doesn't bash Marin's interest in the character or say she can't cosplay them. In fact, he still makes the outfit. He's just setting some boundaries, and Marin is sympathetic and completely understanding of his wishes. You guys know how much I adore healthy communication in a romance series. I love it so much. Now, around the third and fourth volume, I was really worried that this manga was going to introduce a love triangle or a harem or unnecessary drama, but it doesn't look like that's the case, and that makes me very happy. Also, the fifth volume is the best in the series so far. I laughed so much, and the ending, I'm so thankful I don't have to wait long for volume 6. I never ordered anything so fast in my life. The cosplay culture and technical information about cosplay elements is genuinely fascinating, albeit a little excessive at times, but I found most of it very interesting, and I adore when manga aims to teach me things. Additionally, the artwork is phenomenal. I love Fukuda Sensei's art style, and the costumes and characters always look superb. When it comes to the nudity and the fan service, there is a lot of it. I personally don't mind, but I know it's going to be an issue for some people. Also, it's worth mentioning that there haven't been any sex scenes yet. Obviously, sex is discussed since Marin enjoys eroge dating sim games and mature manga, but nothing sexual has happened between the characters. As far as ecchi goes, I actually think it's pretty tame, and also it helps that Gojo isn't a degenerate. He's very respectful towards Marin. In conclusion, I really enjoyed this series. The characters have realistic personalities, the messaging is inspiring, and learning about cosplaying has been really fun and educational. The comedy makes me laugh, and the lighthearted moments make my heart melt. This manga comes highly recommended from me. Just be careful not to read it in public. So now I'm going to go over my final thoughts and star ratings for everything I read, starting with Dragon Ball. And I'm giving Dragon Ball 2.5 stars. I liked the world building and the art is well drawn, but the humor is repetitive and crude. If you're interested in seeing the introduction of certain beloved characters and or seeing Goku's origins, I would recommend this to you. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but the paper quality in this omnibus isn't great. It's fairly thin and you have to be really careful while you're turning the pages. Super iconic series, but I don't think you're missing much if you'd rather skip it. Next, we have volume 1 of Kaiju Girl Caramelise. The artwork in this series is gorgeous. It's very detailed, and I love how the kaiju design is based off of Godzilla. The premise is unlike any manga I've ever read. I'm still unsure which direction the plot is going, but I'm looking forward to watching it develop. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. I love the mixture of cutesy rom-com and kaiju fiction. And then we have the omnibus edition of Paradise Kiss, which earns a solid 4 stars from me. The world of Paradise Kiss is populated with unique and interesting characters. The story tackles some very mature and complex themes, and although problematic at times, I found it overall enjoyable. The artwork is exquisite, and the couture fashion is all very well designed. I can see why people regard this series as a cult classic and a favorite. Another manga that earned 4 stars from me was volume 1 of the Yuri series, If I Could Reach You. I thought this first installment was a great introduction to the story, and I appreciated the subtle foreshadowing when it comes to Kaoru's marriage. The artwork is lovely, and I thought the characters were likable and endearing. I'm really looking forward to seeing the relationship grow between the leads, and I'm glad I added this forbidden romance to my bookshelves. The rest of the series were all 5 stars, and there's 3 of them, which is amazing. Love that. First, we have volumes 1 through 3 of A Man and His Cat. This series was so incredibly heartwarming and relatable for anyone who's ever owned a cat or even just hung out with a cat. I loved all of the silly cat shenanigans and how they balanced out the sadder moments in the manga. This is just a really wonderful story about companionship and the unconditional love between a pet and their owner. And then we have Go With the Clouds, North by Northwest, which I'm still surprised about. I think this series is super underrated. The art style is beautiful and dreamy, the characters are interesting, and the mystery elements are very intriguing. I really like the slice of life feel to the storyline, and I thought Kei's ability was unique and something I've never seen before. I'm super eager to revisit this series, and I'm very thankful that I have 4 more volumes of this. And lastly, we have volumes 1 through 5 of My Dress Up Darling, which has become a new favorite romance of mine. I just hope that the story doesn't drag out the love confessions. I just really want Marin and Gojo to be together. And that wraps up my very first reading vlog and this video. Not going to lie, this whole experience was sort of exhausting. I think if I were to do it again, I'd try to do it over the course of a month versus trying to do it over a couple weeks. With that said though, I did find it very rewarding and I got to read a lot of really awesome manga, all thanks to Jordaline. Thanks again, bestie, for bringing all these books to my attention. I really hope these reviews helped you read some more of your manga too. If you're interested in watching more videos from me, you can check out my end card where I'll have links to my most recent videos. I hope you all have a manga-nificent day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!